Hey gang, it's me. We're going to try something else out a little bit differently, so here goes. We've been talking about the people that we are marketing to. Now we're ready to start focusing on the product. As always, if you have questions or anything that you want discussed or to bring up, just go to this website, todaysmeet.com/brink-mkt. Load your questions on there. Once you click join, you'll be able to ask a short question, and we'll get those the next day in class. All right, so this first unit in our first presentation in Chapter 2, as you can see, we're talking about product planning. And when we talk about product planning, naturally we're focused on the product, but we're also talking about some of the other things that come along with the product. Some of the more obvious things include the packaging and what that looks like, because after all, oftentimes we purchase something because of what the packaging looks like rather than what the product looks like. And of course the label is part of that package in many cases, but also the branding is really important, and we'll take a couple of days to look at branding as well. In addition to the actual product itself, it's important to remember things like warranties and customer support are big incentives for a lot of people before they buy a product, especially one that's technical like a computer or maybe a car or something like that. But when all is said and done, the important thing is if you are a business and you are looking to add products or modify products, you've got to be able to coordinate that new product with previously existing products so that there's no question from your customer as far as what you're really good at. So here's a quick video highlighting the Coca-Cola Freestyle app. Coca-Cola Freestyle is a vending machine, and it allows you to create your own custom beverage, really. And the reason why I'm showing it to you is because of the term that's shown at the top of the page, the product mix. The product mix is known as all of the products that a company makes or sells. So what better example to show what all a Coca-Cola makes than this Freestyle app? So take a look.
Amazing. Okay, we'll do my way. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Now, who knew that Coca-Cola had that much power just to make a relationship out of a simple beverage? All right, next up on our agenda or list of things to review are how businesses look at all of the products that they have. And so typically we use one of these two categories, and this is going to help us determine what all a company makes. So the broad look at this is to look at product lines, and product lines are just similar products that are grouped together. So if we were to take a car company, we'd say that the car company makes SUVs, and they make trucks, and they make sports cars, and whatever else they might make. And the technical term that we would use to describe the product lines are the product width. So if a car company has 6 different product lines, their product width is 6. When we talk about product items, we're talking about individual products, and of course each one of those individual products, as we just discussed, is found within one of the product lines that a company has created, and that's referred to as the product's depth, or the company's product depth. So category 1 or product line number 1 might be only 3 items, whereas product line number 2 or 3 might have 4 or 5 or even more. Now, when we talk about the product mix, generally this conversation starts with identifying the target market. And as we've discussed previously, the target market is the group of people that have the ability and willingness to buy the product, but also that the company has described as being a potential buyer. So the next thing to do is to look at your competition and see not only who they are, but what they are currently providing to the customers. And then third is to actually identify the image that you want to project. And when we talk about projecting an image, we're talking about what does the customer ultimately think about your product? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear, for example, iPhone? Maybe it's productivity, maybe it's entertainment, but that's the image that the company tries to control and suggest so that it's obvious what it is that you're buying. So some of the different product mix strategies include developing a new product, expanding existing products, modifying existing products, and then unfortunately there's usually a shelf life to products, and so at some point you might have to delete a product or even an entire product line. So some of the different ways, some of the different things to look at when you're making these decisions are to look at sales, look at the economy, and look at current trends, and that will help you determine where exactly the company might be headed. So the most exciting time typically is when you're developing new products. New products are described as 5 years old or even newer. And the reason why new products are so important is because it makes up such a big part of the company's total sales. You can see there it's a little bit more than a third of the company's total sales. And these are typically the items that help build the company's image, and they help build the reputation that the customer may have. So if you're going to develop a new product, the first thing you do is you just come up with as many possible ideas as possible. You would brainstorm. And then you screen those ideas. You write a lengthy proposal that explains what the product is and what it does and how it'll be produced and promoted and what it would sell for, etc., etc. Then if that proposal gets accepted, then you design and test the product. You come up with a prototype as an example. You test it and see if it does everything that you're promising that it's going to do. And then if all of that goes well and the company decides to actually not only design the product but actually launch it, then you get into the commercialization stage, and that's when you launch it and evaluate the customer's acceptance of the product. Now, not every company is going to go that far because it takes a lot of time and a lot of money. So an easier route to developing a new product is to actually take something that's already existing and somehow extend it or modify it. So as you can see on the left, our first one there is a line extension. And with both of these, you're building on a brand or on a product that's already successful, and it's a quicker turnaround from original product to new product. But with a line extension, as you can see there, we take the same brand, Coca-Cola, and we just basically twist the product a little bit. We make a couple subtle changes. Maybe we give it a different name, or in this case, a modified name, and it appeals all of a sudden to a different consumer. We could also modify the product altogether, where we just take an existing product and we make it in a different size, make it in a different color or style, or we add a couple of new features. So the example that you can see there, and believe it or not, Heinz experimented with this a few years ago, where they took ketchup, they added some colors, and tried to promote it to kids as a way to get them to be a young consumer in hopes that they would continue to use Heinz for a long period of time. Needless to say, and as you might imagine, this did not go over well. People want red ketchup. So it's important to understand who's buying your product, and you can see a few different descriptions of people. Those people that are innovators oftentimes are what we call tech enthusiasts. Visionaries are also described as early adopters, and for both of those are the people that are buying the product without it being tested. They're the ones that like to say, I'm the first one to have this new product, kind of promote it to their friends, and maybe they even think more highly of themselves. Early majority are pragmatists. They let other people kind of do all the dirty work and then try and adopt it as early as possible. And then you've got the conservatives and even the skeptics. Unfortunately, there is a shelf life to a lot of products, as we discussed, and that could be for a variety of different reasons. But when you delete a product line, it could be for reasons such as the product has become obsolete, the technology is old, and there's something better out there, as an example. Maybe the product just doesn't appeal. You think that it's going to, and maybe even your market research says that it will, but the customers say otherwise. Certainly, if a product doesn't make a profit, you have to really discuss whether or not it's worth keeping that product on the market. It might be replaced with a new product, or it may even conflict with other products in the line, especially when you get somebody new coming in to run a company and making some drastic changes to what they've been doing for a long period of time. We talked about the shelf life a little bit, and if we start over here at the introduction stage, during the introduction stage of a product, we're focusing on promoting the product and producing it. We want to tell people about it, and we want to make enough of it so that if it really takes off, people will be interested. Next is the growth stage. With the growth stage, instead of looking at promoting it as far as what it does, we are promoting it in terms of how it benefits the customer. So looking at satisfaction instead of just the benefits. Next is the maturity stage. During the maturity stage, sales start to level off, and part of that reason is because we're having to spend so much money to fight off competition. Any good product is going to have competition. And then finally is our decline stage. And when you decline the product, or when the product declines rather, you might decide to sell it to somebody else. You might decide to license it and just collect your royalties. You might decide to recommit it altogether, discount the product, or even just sell it wherever it's popular, and that's called regionalizing. And then the last thing is about that imaging that I talked to you about earlier. Product positioning is really what we're talking about there. And that's an effort by the company to influence how the customer thinks of your product. So you can see that Apple often uses price and quality to set its products apart. They set their prices higher than they need to, but with that high price comes the suggestion, or the mental suggestion of price equals quality. Nike Plus is an app that allows people to track their physical fitness and then tell other people about it just by using the app on their phones. So they use unique features and benefits to set it apart. Southwest Airlines takes their product and often in their promotions talks about what they do differently. So they relate it directly to their competition, no bag fees as an example. And then Mountain Dew uses their promotions in relation to other Mountain Dew products. So typically every summer you'll see Pepsi, who owns Mountain Dew, come out with a couple of new flavors, and naturally they're going to use the name Mountain Dew because it's already popular and proven. So that's it for our first chapter from section 2. Once again, make sure that you ask any questions as it relates to our today's meet. Again, just type your name in here, click join, and you'll have an opportunity to ask a question. There we go. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.